Tesla board chair Denholm says Musk pay package less about the pay and it's more about control. I have some somewhat controversial opinions about this maybe, and definitely not everything that Denholm is going to say here I will agree with. I definitely disagree with her on some points. So let's watch this video from CNBC and I will react to it live.
So help us understand. We just saw what you put out this morning, effectively saying that shareholders need to vote in favor of this compensation plan.
I agree with that. We definitely need to vote, and we need to vote in favor of the compensation package. I absolutely agree with that, and I'm behind this 100%.
To compensate Elon Musk and to make sure that he remains the CEO of the company.
And I do agree with Denholm saying that if we don't get this compensation package passed, then we are at huge risk of losing Elon Musk. And Elon Musk reposted the letter from Denholm. So that letter really is not from Denholm. It's basically written by Denholm after she spoke with Elon is what I believe happened.
Make the argument for us, in part because I should note that, some of firms like ISS and Glass Lewis, these governance firms, have actually told shareholders the opposite. They've said, vote against this plan. There have been others that have said that effectively Elon Musk is holding the shareholders hostage. You've been with your board sitting discussing this, and you believe that this is in the best interests of shareholders. Why?
Well, Tesla's in a transformative stage at this point in time where we're leaning.
By the way, you can basically say this at any point of Tesla's history, and it's going to be a true statement. Tesla is at a transformative stage at this time. Yeah, true in 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And it's going to be true pretty much for every year in the next 10 years, probably, as long as we have Elon Musk innovating.
In very heavily to the AI space in terms of both the vehicles, in terms of FSD, but also in terms of Optimus and the robots, as you can see here in New York today. And so for us, we sat back as a board and actually determined that this is the right time to lean into that transformation and for Elon to lead that transformation. And we then formed a special committee to actually determine what the right incentive program was to have him motivated to deliver unprecedented value for shareholders over this next decade.
My only disappointment with the board was that they only started working on this, at least that's what we say, in February of this year. So it's not that much time, really. They got it approved, officially announced in September. So that's what, 8 months, something like that. I was quite disappointed about that because I thought the moment that when Elon posted that he wants more control, and he posted this in January of 2024. So it's been a while now, and it took a whole year for a board to supposedly start officially working on this. Now, I have a theory that maybe they are saying this somehow because there was a lawsuit against them and they settled, basically having to pay something like $1 billion back to Tesla shareholders. The board had to pay back. So maybe that's why. So they were probably talking with Elon Musk back and forth, but they were saying, "Hey, look, we cannot do this right now because if we do this right now, maybe there's gonna be another lawsuit, and there's just the whole thing is just not gonna go through. So what you want, we understand what we want, but we can't give it to you right now. So you will just need to wait." And that waiting, I think, cost Tesla shareholders some opportunity cost for sure, because Elon didn't pay as much attention to Tesla as probably otherwise he would have. He still paid attention to Tesla, but I think if Elon's attention was fully on Tesla, if the compensation package was fully there from the moment his old one basically was fully done, the moment Elon earned the last compensation package, there should have been the new one set up immediately. And the board didn't do that. So I'm a bit upset about that. But I think Tesla actually has the best board possible right now, because if we tried to change the board, we would be at risk of installing someone that would not be as friendly to Elon. Right now, we know that basically the whole board we just do what Elon wants, just maybe late, sometimes late. And I think that's because they are trying to protect themselves.
And so what do you tell shareholders who say this just seems like too much money? He's already incentivized. He owns a big chunk of the company already. I mean, that would be the pushback, right?
Well, it's a performance plan. If he doesn't perform against the milestones, both in terms of the market cap and the operational milestones, he actually gets nothing. He doesn't get any salary or any equity unless he actually performs and achieves the milestones that are in the plan. That
There's no other CEO that would agree to this. None.
is the basis of this performance plan.
Look, I've argued this is the greatest pay-for-performance plan that exists, as was the previous one, which was struck down. I want you to listen to this. This was Elon Musk addressing the upcoming vote during.
By the way, I do respect this reporter quite a bit, because when the politically motivated judge rescinded Elon's previous compensation package, he called out what was happening, and he was like, this was the most shareholder-friendly compensation package in history. And when it was first designed and announced years ago, he said that if it's so unlikely, like if it's a cheat, like the thing that shareholders should hope for the most is that Elon Musk gets that compensation package, because that means the shareholders would get so much value. And so I respect this journalist for calling out the judge that's obviously politically motivated.
During a call last week on the quarterly results call, where he discusses some of this.
I just don't feel comfortable building a robot army here and then being ousted because of some asinine recommendations from ISS and Glass Lewis, who have no friggin'.
By the way, it will literally be a robot army, and I wonder what the U.S. military will have to say about that.
Clue. I mean, those guys are corporate terrorists. And the problem, so let me explain the core problem here is that so many of the index funds, the passive funds, vote along the lines of whatever Glass Lewis and ISS recommend. Now, they've made many terrible recommendations.
So, Robyn, how much of this is about incentivizing Elon? Because it sounds like to me, more than anything, he believes that he actually worries about AI in the future and wants to have greater control of the company. And how, I'm curious, the board thinks about that.
Yes, he's been very consistent in that view in terms of having enough influence over the vote of Tesla in the future so that bad things can't happen with the AI. So it's less about...
Elon will not have full control, and bad things could still happen to AI. But when I think about who would I rather have more control of AI, is it Elon Musk or is it someone else? Elon Musk is the person that I would choose to have more oversight over AI. Certainly, for sure, 100%, because I already understand Elon's way of thinking and a lot of stances that he has. I agree with them. I think they make sense because they are based in logic, not in some emotionally triggered response. So I would definitely prefer Elon.
Compensation and more about the voting influence in terms of this. And that was very clear as we were negotiating from a special committee perspective in terms of this performance package. And if there was a way of delivering the vote without the actual compensation, we would have done that. But
I do agree with the board that maybe they would have tried to do that. And I do understand that Elon said that he doesn't care about the compensation, but there's no other way to design this other than to give the compensation at the same time, because that's the only way you can acquire voting control because of the way Tesla was set up. But also what Elon could say, you know what, if I achieve all of this and I get voting control, you know what, guys, what I will do? I will give back all of these, all of this economical advantage somehow back to you, the shareholders, by moving maybe some of my other available funds from some other place. Maybe not like everything that you would earn, but like a small, at least a part of it, because I'm sure Elon has some assets in other places. It may not be as much as he will make here, but maybe he could. Basically, donate some of that funding that he has access to, and basically just reduce a number of Tesla shares. Basically, it's like a buyback. He could maybe try to do that. I don't think he will. And basically, anyone who would be him, why would you do that? But also the question is, how much money does he have that he could actually freely move? It might not be as much as we might think. But I don't fully agree that Elon doesn't want the compensation. I think he definitely sees that as the motivating factor. And I have no objections to this, by the way. It's not like I'm complaining. I'm just pointing out what's not said here. And like he couldn't really say it. Like it's not. It's a much more noble thing to make it sound like it's never about the money.
But from our perspective, there was no way of doing that. So
can you do that with voting shares that have a super majority vote?
You can, but you can only put them in place before you IPO. And so that's why some of the other technology companies have those in place. But we had many experts advising us and having a look at that exact question. Could we do that? And we ultimately couldn't.
I think she's right about that. And that could be one reason why it took so long to start negotiating with Elon about the compensation package, because maybe they were just trying this whole time for that whole 1 year where the Tesla board basically supposedly officially didn't negotiate with Elon Musk about his compensation package at all, even though he made it very clearly that this is an issue for him. And we Tesla shareholders, we were complaining on X about this, not just me, many. For example, I saw Dylan Loomis from Electrified, he was complaining, and many other people were talking out about it, speaking out about it. So it was interesting to watch. But yeah, maybe that is the reason. Maybe that whole year they were just trying to figure out this question, and the answer was the answer that they did not like. And they just kept trying to find some loophole, and they just couldn't, because maybe there is no loophole other than like after Elon makes some money, have him do like a charitable act of like somehow giving back some of his other funds that are not Tesla stock to basically buy back Tesla stock, where he wouldn't have any economical benefit from that.
So, but what we have done in the plan is we've bifurcated the voting rights versus the economic value. He doesn't get those economic values till at least year 7.5, even if he delivers them in the first 5 years. And so that's...
I like that so much. Like the way it's designed, like this is the dream of the shareholders. Not only not only do you need to achieve these crazy goals, after you achieve them, you don't get the money immediately. You still have to wait for quite a bit of time until you can actually get the money, which gives so much time for the shareholders to cash out.
One of the features of this plan, shareholders get their return much earlier than Elon would. Exactly. If he delivers against the plan. And secondly, it really does make sure that the economic value is an incentive for him to stay at the company and continue to deliver for quite some time in the future.
Exactly. Hey, Robyn, right now you've got a market cap at Tesla of north of $1.4 trillion. What would Tesla be worth without Elon Musk, do you think?
Yeah, well, that's the whole question, which is why we're asking shareholders to vote. We're at this important...
The answer to that question is we definitely don't want to find out. Like we don't want to, you know, guys, what we should never do. We should not try to run an experiment. I'm a big fan of experiments, but one experiment we should never run is, let's see how much Tesla would be worth if Elon Musk just quit the company. Let's never run that experiment. I don't want to find out.
Inflection point. There is nothing wrong with being just a car company. There are plenty of car companies out there. We think we deliver great cars out into the marketplace. But the opportunity for Tesla in the future, given this AI focus and attention and the unique capabilities that we have as an organisation and that Elon brings to us, really does mean that the opportunity for the company ahead of us is significant. And so, and that's how this performance plan has been put together.
Do you think it's worth half what it's worth right now without him?
It's very hard to tell, but there is definitely a premium there because of the unique capability that he brings to the company and the opportunity that we have as a company ahead of us.
The biggest loss if we didn't have Elon would not be so much how much the stock would drop. Maybe if the Tesla board somehow maneuvers everything extremely perfectly, and if it's done at the perfect time, maybe the stock actually wouldn't drop. Maybe it would actually even increase a little bit in the short term. But the long-term opportunity cost is where I think we would pay dearly if we lost Elon Musk. So like if Elon quit abruptly without having anyone to replace him, then I think the stock would draw. That might be the biggest single drop in Tesla's history in just a single day. If there's like no clear replacement, or if the replacement is not good, that would be very bad. But if it's like very well timed and everything, then maybe there wouldn't be much of a drop. Like if Elon says, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to coach this person through everything that they need to do and everything like that," then maybe there would be that much of a reaction. But the opportunity cost, like that, Elon is by far the best person to deliver results with the Optimus. If it's anyone else, I'll just assume, hey, I'm projecting zero value from the Optimus in the long term. I don't know if Tesla can do it, but if it's Elon Musk, I think Elon Musk can solve that problem.
You'll
Robyn,
never be an,
one of the questions
you'll never be an
that
old-style company, I guess, Robyn, where I'm looking for some new models. I mean, if you're going to that, you don't need a sexy new model for me, do you? But the first one was so great, the Model S, obviously, the style and everything about it.
Still a great car.
It is. Is there any way I can hope for some really cool, I don't know, is a Roadster, a new one coming?
It's on the roadmap.
It's on the roadmap. Do you have any, can you describe it to me?
I feel like she's answering questions like a politician, which is really, if you are a board member, you're navigating this sort of line between being a politician, but still you're like in a private company. It's an interesting mixture. So like by default, I would expect board members to act somewhat like politicians.
Is it bigger than a brand?
I'm not going to announce.
But if you're doing all this, maybe you don't need to do what we've always done, a new Mustang, or you don't need the old way we think of American cars.
Yeah, I mean, Elon talked about that last week on the earnings call.
He did,
yeah. Leaning into FSD and actually AI in the vehicles has actually been the focus over this last period of time. The integration of that with a really purpose-built vehicle for autonomy is actually really important, which is why you see the Cybercab.
Yeah.
And again, the vehicles that we have on the road today are great vehicles using full self-driving as well.
Yeah, and it would be even greater and even better and even nicer if Tesla could also just release a $25,000 vehicle, is my personal opinion. That would, I think, lower the risk of owning Tesla stock. If we do have some unforeseen challenges and issues with scaling FSD very quickly, but also we already have the platform, the Cybercab. We just remove that, well, not maybe remove the trunk completely, but just make it smaller because it's gigantic, and you just put 2 more seats in there. You put in steering wheels and pedals, and you just change the curvature of the roof a little bit, and voila, you got like a $25,000 consumer vehicle with 4 seats that's very comfortable. It's maybe not super fast because it's built for comfort, but look, that's what many people want. Maybe want like a comfortable car that's cheap, and that's what it would be. And another thing is with regulators, do we want to take a risk and have a vehicle with no steering wheel or pedals completely? Because right now I think there's a limit of like 2,500 vehicles that you can have without steering wheels and pedals. If you just add a steering wheel and pedals to the car, then you are not subject to that rule anymore, even if it's a robotaxi. So yeah, I think Farzad made some really good posts on X about this subject, and I think I think he makes a lot of sense. I think I'm leaning closer towards what Farzad is saying about this subject. And Elon, in the end, he makes the right decision, the best decision for his companies. But in the short term, but he's also not afraid to make mistakes. And I think there's a very good chance that we will have steering wheels and pedals in robotaxis. I think that's the right way to go about it, because if we have 1 million robotaxis, think about this. What kind of crazy edge cases are there gonna be? And in every single case, do you want to have only control of the vehicle through an app? Or do you sometimes want to actually go in the car, and because maybe it's a super delicate situation, maybe like just moving the car by like this much more is gonna damage some property, or let's say it's hanging over the cliff almost or something. I don't know. We can think of some crazy situations, because if we do have 1 million robotaxis on the roads, we will have some crazy situations. But having a steering wheel and pedals, which is basically almost no cost, I think we can think of ways to reduce the costs. I think there's probably at least 10 ways minimum that we can think of. How can we reduce the costs of making a robotaxi vehicle that would be equal or greater to the savings of removing a steering wheel and pedals? I think we can definitely think of many more ways. So I think there's just this obsession about the steering wheel and the pedals. I don't know about it. So anyway, that's it for this video. If you like this sort of live format, make sure you subscribe, because I will probably make a lot more of those. And the thing I like about this is probably going to be a 22-minute video, and it took me about 22 minutes to make this video, instead of making a 20-minute video which takes like 2 or sometimes 3 or more hours to make. So if I ever travel again, I will not disappear for months at a time, because I'll be able to make videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.